দর্শক আমন্ত্রণ চ্যানেল 24 এর বিশেষ আয়োজন মুখোমুখিতে। প্রতিবার মুখোমুখিতে একজন বিশেষ অতিথি আমাদের সাথে থাকেন, আর আজকে আছেন ঢাকার বিদায়ী ফরাসি রাষ্ট্রদূত সোফিয়া ওয়ার্ড। Hello Excellency, welcome to the show.
Good morning.
And it's 3 years.
Yes, exactly.
Right. So on 2014 November you arrived in Dhaka, and it's 2017 and you're about to leave the country. How was your experience in the last 3 years?
It was an extremely rich experience because I was given the possibility to carry out my mission in very good conditions. And after 3 years, of course, there are many things I would have liked to complete, and many other things I have completed. But it is a satisfaction. I think that during these 3 years, my country is more visible, that Bangladeshi people have a better idea of what France is. I think that our relations went closer and closer, and we could, in many fields, develop new projects, new friendships. So I'm fine, even if I think that we could have done more, and I hope, of course, that the coming years it will continue, and we will every year strengthen our relationship.
Right. So how do you evaluate your experience in 3 years? I mean, what would be the biggest achievement you get?
Okay. So one of my first mission was to promote what we call in France common goods, universal values. And of course, at the beginning of my tenure, climate and of course the COP21 and the Paris Agreement that we wanted to reach were a very important topic for me. I did a lot of time to work with the Ministry of Environment, to work with the NGOs, think tanks, and the scientists in order to make, well, people understand, but in order to explain what it meant from our side, what my country wanted as the presidency of this COP21. And well, the idea was to create dynamics in order to go for this Paris Agreement. So this was what happened, and I was really happy to see that we were able all together to create these dynamics also here, and it was a very important thing. And second thing I would say, the embassy, not only me, the embassy as a whole, tried to do in the field of economy, and the objective, the major issue was to, I would say, strengthen our relation. My feeling is that we have succeeded to develop French-Bangladeshi projects on some important issues like the satellite, and I'm optimistic that some new projects will come, even if I know that it takes time. But I think that the trend is positive.
Right. So Excellency, when you arrived at the end of 2014 and you are leaving on 2017 and it's September, you arrived at the time when the country had a political crisis, and when you're leaving, the country is having another crisis, though it's not because of us, it's because of our neighbor, the refugee crisis. How do you see the recent Rohingya crisis? And as Bangladesh is going to moving towards Security Council, will you extend your hand to help Bangladesh in this particular case?
We had several opportunities in the last year to discuss with the authorities. When I say we, I mean as a representative of the embassy of my country, France, and to sincerely, first of all, extend our support to the government of Bangladesh, because it is, first of all, a humanitarian disaster, with people having to flee their country to arrive here and try to survive. It is a disaster. From my country, we have mobilized some funding, around $1 million, to help the World Food Programme and French NGOs working in that part of Bangladesh support the Rohingya people arriving here. And I know it's very few if we consider the scale of the disaster. I understand that many countries are mobilized, and Bangladesh is mobilized, as the Prime Minister said 2 days ago, and it's really it's a big challenge, but we can see how much the government is trying to help people and resolve this humanitarian crisis. So this is one thing. Of course, second thing, it's difficult not to recognize that there is a, I would say, political and security issue because these people are coming from another country, so it's not an internal problem. And if we consider that point, it is, in my view, good that Bangladesh decided to bring this issue to the Security Council.
Don't you think that Myanmar is lying on this particular issue? They're denying the fact and they're trying to say the whole scenario, they're trying to portray the whole scenario in other scene.
You know, as ambassador in Bangladesh, I have I'm not in a position to comment what's happening in another country, but what I can say is that, and many ambassadors were there yesterday, and we can, on internet, it's so easy to see. It's the fact is that you have some people who are fleeing their country because they are pushed out of their country. When you are in Bangladesh, you can see the house burning, and the people are in Bangladesh, whereas they are also burning in Myanmar. And we can see that these people are reporting horrible things, and this is a fact that we can see and that we can observe, and it's difficult to deny it because it's just in front of you.
As Bangladesh, as Security Council also addressed the issue quite strongly, if any kind of vote is there regarding the whole thing in the General Assembly, will France vote for Bangladesh, for the humanity?
I think that my country has very clearly and for long tried to defend human rights everywhere. It is a value, as I was saying, a universal value that has no, I would say, territory or place. So this is something which is universal and that we defend every day. It's with something which belongs to our values. In the Security Council, there are some debates in New York. It's a process. We have seen yesterday that the Security Council had strong voice, and my country has part of the permanent numbers. Of course, approved this. Otherwise, you can have a veto if you don't approve. So I don't know what will happen in the discussions, but what I can say is that we are supporting, of course, what was said yesterday. So I can anticipate that our position will be clear on that point.
Excellency, as we all talk about this crisis, but how this problem can be managed? The huge amount of people came to Bangladesh to save their lives. We cannot push them back. At this very moment, we have to give them foods, locations, clothing, and every 5 basic needs. Also, they can stay here for a long run, and that's not possible, and that's not feasible as well, because there are some financial issues, there are some job issues, the education. The whole thing has to be managed in a proper way so that they feel that at least they are having their rights. How this can be solved?
It's a very big issue, and I'm not...
And Europe is also having same kind of...
We have also the same issues in different places in Europe. It's very difficult to have an answer, because if you have an answer, then I think it's first of all, the solution should be political, because you cannot solve a crisis by the war. Every time you go for war is not a good solution. But politically, there is an issue, because if you want to solve a problem politically, you need to be at least two persons, one and your counterpart. And the problem is that...
what do you mean by politically? Like
politically, by discussions, by finding a peaceful solution. Solution
like our PM will discuss to...
Yeah, solution cannot be to push people out of their country and burn their house. So this is a very difficult issue. I think that in the 90s, some political solutions were found, and some people went back to Myanmar, a permanent solution and political solution through, I would say, peaceful means should be chosen for this problem. But I don't have the response to this situation. I think that political solutions have to come, that it is first a humanitarian issue that has to be handled, and this is what the government is doing, and this is what some friends are trying to do, helping, like Turkey, like France and other countries.
Excellency, on that particular point I have to take a break. দর্শক, আমরা আলোচনা করছিলাম সোফিয়া অ্যাওয়ার্ডের বাংলাদেশের 3 বছরের অভিজ্ঞতা আলোচনার প্রেক্ষাপটে আমরা রোহিঙ্গা ইস্যু নিয়ে কথা বলছিলাম। হার এক্সেলেন্সি মনে করছেন যে এই সমস্যার সমাধান রাজনৈতিকভাবে করা সম্ভব। আলোচনা চলতেই থাকবে, সাথে থাকুন, ফিরছে একটি বিরতির পর। আমন্ত্রণ আরও একবার। মুখোমুখিতে কথা বলছিলাম হার এক্সেলেন্সি সোফিয়া অ্যাওয়ার্ড, ঢাকার ফরাসি রাষ্ট্রদূত, বিদায়ী ফরাসি রাষ্ট্রদূতের সাথে। এক্সেলেন্সি, as we've been talking about this Rohingya issue, and Europe is also facing the same refugee or migration crisis, and among those people, quite a good number of Bangladeshi people are also there. They're illegal, and Europe, along with other, France, Germany, the whole Europe is talking to Bangladesh Foreign Ministry to, how to solve this crisis. Any update on this particular issue?
End of August was signed a document between Bangladesh and the European Union in order to find some, to decide how to proceed in case of Bangladeshi nationals being illegally in the European Union. The idea of this, I would say, document is to organize return of Bangladeshis being illegally in Europe to Bangladesh. But it's not just coming back to Bangladesh, it's also accompanying their coming back to Bangladesh through different aids, for example, to be trained, or to have, if you have a private project, you can be funded. So the idea is that in Europe, like everywhere in the world, we have some rules. People can migrate to a country, but there are some rules which have to be followed up, respected. Many in Europe, in France, more than 20% of the people have foreign origins. So the idea is not to close the door, but to respect the rules in order to come legally to a third country. That's important because, as you know, today in Libya, for example, I hear and I've read that thousands of people are there trying to go to Europe. They are very mistreated, considered as slaves.
Right.
They are in inhuman conditions. I've heard about 50,000 Bangladeshis there. I don't know if it's right or wrong, but very big figures. And these people are suffering a lot. They have paid a lot, but huge amounts in order to arrive there, in order to be treated as slaves, to be killed, and they are waiting for going through to Europe through the Mediterranean Sea. They may die on the sea. So I don't think that it is what we want for our people. I'm sure that the government of Bangladesh doesn't want Bangladeshi people to suffer like this in Libya or to die in the Mediterranean Sea. So it's a way to, I would say, protect our citizens, for you to protect your citizens, to avoid such a disaster in Libya and the Mediterranean Sea. And it's also a way for us to say that in the world there are some rules which have to be respected.
For that particular purpose, people who legally wants to go to Europe, they shouldn't be scared because there will be no restriction on the visa system, right? If I'm not wrong.
The rule is very clear. If you want to go to Europe, you have different ways to go to Europe. You have some young people going for studies. We have a program which is called Erasmus Mundus, which is a European program, but you know, Europe is made first of its members, so all the countries, European countries, are part of this program, and the students have financial support. They are selected, and they go to different countries in Europe, in France, Germany, 6 months in France, 6 months in Germany, and they study. And when they are back with their diplomas. And you also have some people who, for example, I know some people going to work to France because here they are working with a French company, but French company takes them to France for working as expat in France. You have different ways to go to abroad, to work, to study, to live.
So there would be no restriction on the visa?
I don't have about the... Now there is no restriction. We are working. We try to deliver as quick as possible, as much as possible. We are under big pressure because more and more people want to travel. Right. But and we do our best to satisfy everybody. Of course, you need to have some, I would say, financial means, because but it's a rule not only in Bangladesh, everywhere.
Excellency, let's talk about the trade partnership between France and Bangladesh. In your last 3 years, how's the development? Is that satisfying?
Well, it's not fully. I cannot fully talk about satisfaction because, you know, there is a big unbalance between France and Bangladesh because of the structure of our bilateral relations. We import mainly RMG and some fish products, and we export some equipment and other products, but there is a big gap, and I think that the country Bangladesh is developing, that our relations will change in the coming years, and there will be some possibilities to have a more balanced trade, and it will take some time. But now what is for me a positive thing is that I have seen different sorts of companies coming to Bangladesh to work in Bangladesh in the field of energy, in the field of, as you know, water, in the field of transport. This is for me what is important, to have stronger links between our companies, because figures can change strong in a very, I would say, quick way because of a decision. For example, before we were exporting, I think, wheat, and there was a decision taken by Bangladesh to change the type of wheat that they wanted to import. It's more now Russian wheat, not French wheat. So of course there is a big, the figures have changed, but this does not mean anything. You have to consider the I would say, relation in real life, and real life is that I can see many more and more companies interested to come in Bangladesh to develop their position, their relations, trade, and that's more important for me. After 3 years, this is what I've seen.
Right. Excellency, to have a better trade relation between any countries, stability, peace and security is needed. As you have observed Bangladesh, the Gulshan tragedy, and from then till now, how do you see the situation? Do you encourage the French businessman to come and make some business here as there is no security state? Would you advise them like this way?
Security, as you know, unfortunately, it's very difficult to find one country in the world which is a fully secure place. In many countries in the world, we are facing the same issues. I mean, terrorism. My president is talking about Islamist terrorism. I would say that we have some ideological movements who wants to destroy the world and the way we live. We are victims in France, in Spain, in Bangladesh. And what is more important is to resist and to stand up. And this is what Bangladesh have done in the last months, as we could observe. And this is what we are doing also in Europe. So for our companies, I really don't think that there is more danger being in Bangladesh or in other country. I think that we have to be aware about the situation, but I think that French foreign companies can work here. It's just a matter of everywhere being cautious. And I would say that security in Bangladesh for business, for doing business, is not a problem. Stability, legal stability is a very important thing, and I think that this is what really matters when you go to a foreign country.
On that particular point, Excellency, I have to take another break. দর্শক, আমরা আলোচনা করছিলাম ফ্রান্স বাংলাদেশ দ্বিপাক্ষিক সম্পর্ক, বিশেষ করে গুলশান ট্র্যাজেডির পরবর্তীতে বিদেশিরা বাংলাদেশে কতটুকু নিরাপদ, এবং ফ্রান্স থেকে যারা বিনিয়োগ করতে যায় তারা আসতে চান কিনা, তারা আসতে পারেন কিনা। সোফিয়া অবার্ট মনে করেন বাংলাদেশ বিনিয়োগের জন্য, বিদেশি বিনিয়োগের জন্য সম্পূর্ণ নিরাপদ। আলোচনার এই পর্যায়ে একটা বিরতি নিচ্ছি, সাথে থাকুন, ফিরছি একটু পর। আমন্ত্রণ আরও একবার। মুখোমুখিতে কথা বলছিলাম ফ্রান্স বাংলাদেশ দ্বিপাক্ষিক সম্পর্ক, এবং বিরতির আগে আমরা যেটা কথা বলছিলাম যে বাংলাদেশ বিদেশি বিনিয়োগের জন্য নিরাপদ, এখানে সন্ত্রাসবাদের জন্য ভয় পাওয়ার কিছু নাই। Excellency, welcome once again to the show. And as we've been talking that the investors shouldn't be scared investing in Bangladesh just because of terrorism. We don't have that crisis. That's very, I should say, encouraging words you have said. Let's talk about the politics, because when you arrived in Bangladesh, it's 2014 November, and you're living on 2017 September. So you came after election and you're going before the election. So
I'm lucky. No, not.
Yeah. So you have met all the political parties. You had good time with them. You had a discussion with them. And you also heard about the last election. What do you think of the coming election? Will it be like the old time, or it will be like more participatory? All party will take part in the election?
I would say, because I don't want to comment the domestic situation, it's not my role, but what I can say is that in the discussions I have with many people, with the authorities, there is a willingness to have transparent and clean election. Mm-hmm. And of course, as an observer, this is also what we want for Bangladesh, because stability has always a negative impact. I think it's normal for a party to say that they want to win, because if you don't want to win, it's very strange. So it's normal thing that everybody is convinced that each and everyone is convinced and wants to win for the election. The important is to have transparent and clean election, and this is what I hear really from the people who are at the government now. Now let's see what will happen, but this is what matters for Bangladesh, of course.
And you also have been the new Chief Election Commissioner. He all went to France, if I'm not wrong, to see how the election things happen or to get some knowledge. Do you know about the fact, or would you like to share that?
He went to France 2-3 months ago to have some discussions, but I'm not fully aware of their program. I think that they went to France to discuss with some contractors working with them.
Contract of what?
I think it's ID cards, but I'm not absolutely sure.
Okay, fine. So, Excellency, as you lived 3 years, you also went out of town, and Bangladesh is a developing country. Bangladesh got a mission of Vision 2021. So, what is your observation of last 3 years? What could be the biggest challenge as we are moving towards Vision 2021?
One big challenge in Bangladesh is demography, because you are, I would say, this Bangladesh, as you know, is, I would not say a small country, but if you consider, for example, France is 550,000 square kilometers, Bangladesh is 147, so Bangladesh is 3 times smaller than France, but with a population which is almost 3 times our population. So demography is a challenge, of course. Another challenge is environment, because Bangladesh is a delta, and we have seen all these, I would say, natural disasters, the impact that they have on crops, on the environment. And on this territory you will have more and more people, and all these people have to live in the same place. So how to find a balance between human activities, industrial activities, agriculture, how to develop agriculture because it's important,
right,
but also develop industry because so this is a big challenge. And
Excellency, I have a question. How this can go simultaneously, the development of agriculture and industry? Will you share from your experience, from the French experience?
In France, in Europe, in many places in the world, people are starting to understand that perhaps our economic model globally is not the right one. We are talking about linear economy, which means you produce, you use, and then you throw. So this is a very negative way of working, of living, and this is what we have been doing for the last decades and centuries. And now people are talking about the fact that we must create a circular economy, which means that you produce and so you use and then you transform to reuse instead of throwing, because we can, otherwise we will have no resources. Globally, our planet, in June, July, we have used what is necessary in 1 year if we want our planet to, I would say, maintain, produce. So we are destroying our planet in France, in Bangladesh, all over the world, and people are starting to think how to create a circular economy. And I think this is a solution for everybody, including Bangladesh, but it is a big challenge.
Of course, it's a big challenge. Excellency, we are almost about to end the show. But before we end, I'd like to know, would you like to share the most remarkable thoughts you will carry back to your home?
When I came in Bangladesh, I didn't know Bangladesh, so I had some pictures without knowing if it's right or wrong. When I came in Bangladesh, first thing I was impressed to see. I said, "Oh, it's a developed country. You have big buildings," and it was the first. I said to myself, "Well, I'm in a big city of Asia. So I want this image of vibrant country and dynamics. I wanted this image to be promoted in France so that people know about Bangladesh, and I'm happy to know that now we know more about Bangladesh in France. So this is one thing. And another thing I want to say, I was really impressed by the big rivers and the way the country deals with this environment. It's not something remarkable for you, but for us, our countries are different. And this is something that I really remember, this environment.
Thank you, Excellency. It's always been a pleasure, and I hope you enjoy your 3 years. You will take a lot of good memories back to your home.
Sure.
You will share, and the relationship between France and Bangladesh, the height you take up to, it will go more and more. Thank you, and
thank you very much.
Wish you good luck for your next mission.
Thank you very much.
দর্শক, আমরা কথা বলছিলাম ফ্রান্স বাংলাদেশ সম্পর্ক, বাংলাদেশ কিভাবে এগিয়ে যেতে পারে। সোফিও আবার যেটি বলছিলেন, বাংলাদেশে এসে তার কাছে মনে হয়েছে ঢাকা শহর এশিয়ার অন্যতম বড় একটি শহর, জায়ান্ট শহর, গ্রোয়িং শহর। তিনি এই ধারণা নিয়ে দেশে ফিরে যেতে চান বাংলাদেশ এভাবে এগিয়ে যাক। দেখা হবে মুখোমুখির অন্য কোনো পর্বে।